呢個 session 咧叫做 Asia Youth Social Entrepreneurship Exchange， 咁希望咧就係去 foster young social entrepreneurs 喺亞洲，咁我哋喺亞洲國際都會香港呢度，咁好高興邀請到咧8個唔同國家、唔同地方嘅successful young social entrepreneur 去分享佢哋嘅wisdom， 去分享佢哋嘅 experience， 希望咧 get 到一啲 inspiration 俾我哋可以有得着嘅。咁跟住流程係會咁樣嘅。咁我哋就會介紹我哋自己啦，即係一班人，一人其實得1-2分鐘嘅啫，即係 every one of us has around 2-3 minutes to introduce ourselves for the agenda，and then 跟住我哋會 go for 一個 panel discussion， 咁有唔同嘅 question 去問，同埋咧我哋希望咧嗰啲問題咧係同你相關嘅，所以咧我哋未開始之前咧會做少少知多啲你嘅嘢喺嗰個 online polling system 嗰度，咁然之後咧就會go on 啦。好，咁我哋咧而家就準備你嘅電話。Get prepared for your mobile phone. If you can go to menti.com， 如果你開個 browser 就入 menti.com 啦，跟住輸入以下嘅6位數字147913。咁如果你攞個電話出嚟就掃嗰個 QR code 咧，即係你開個相機，然後咧就會去到 directly menti.com 噶啦。咁就去呢個147913。咁我都睇下到底裏邊係問啲乜嘢先。咁你問啲嘢咧都同我哋相關嘅，睇下掃唔掃到先啊！咁第一題問題咧就應該唔係呢條嚟嘅，你幫我褪一褪阿 Winnie 去第一題嗰度，就係147913。147913就係問你個 year of experience 啊，即係你到底你做咗嘢咧幾耐啊？咁我就做咗嘢10年啦，咁我就揀11至20啦。咁你就會睇到出邊嗰個 polling 咧，我哋大概儲到25個人，我哋就冇啦，儲多啲人啦，儲30個啦。哇我哋 overall audience 都比較 young 喎，嘢都未做喎。咁亦都10零年嘅經驗都好多喎，即係睇嚟係一個 M 字型喎。咁你都唔有啲就話我18、9歲，但係做咗10年嘢㗎啦。咁係啦，咁你睇下呢個 work experience 有37、38個人去做。咁我哋見到咧for our audience, for our actual speakers, that we have very interesting mix of our audience. 10 of them, around 1/4, never really work. So we can share something that when we were like just fresh graduates at that time, that would be most relevant to them. And actually, another 10 of them are like me, that are around, I don't know how old are they, but they work more than 10 years, but within 20 years. So they are senior enough, but not yet super senior. I mean, not yet retired in a way. Oh, those retired are coming up. More than 20 years experience that we have another 10. And in between, around under 30 years old after university graduate, is not yet too many. Anyway, that's our audience. 好啦，咁我哋去第2題望一望啦。咁咧，你個電話度咧會突然之間轉咗個 screen， 就你嘅3個 priority 啊。咁我哋咧有3 set 嘅問題嘅。咁有一啲咧就係話你最 top ranking， 你最想知係點樣 start 一個 social innovation 啦，點樣 sustain 一個 social innovation 啦，定係點樣去 scale 一個 social innovation？ 咁你就睇下你嘅 priority 係點啦。咁你有 first priority， 你可以揀埋 second， 你可以揀埋 third 嘅，跟住你就 submit 俾我哋啦。咁我哋睇下我哋嘅 audience 咧嗰個最有 interest 嘅幾十個人，你想聽啲乜嘢？因為我哋8個 speakers 咧都有唔同嘅 stage 啊。有一啲咧係喺 starting 嗰度咧可以講好多嘢去 inspire 到你 ，why I do what I do，and this inspiration would be relevant to you。有一啲咧係已經係 global scale， 係講緊一個 large organisation that make global impact。但係如果你話我而家連 start 都未 start 喎，我聽完咧可能係10年之後先用得着嘅，咁都係 good to keep 嘅。咁但係就睇下我哋儲夠，哇係好平均喎。我哋基本上冇乜大分別嘅喎。我哋等多10個人啦，跟住就 yeah，so that is very competitive to see actually first and second and third. So first priority is actually starting social innovation. That at that time, even you work in the field for 10 years, like me or Rebecca, very experienced, and then we should share something when we start. Those kind of experience would be super helpful to the majority audience for their first priority to know is how to start social innovation. So we spend majority of time about starting and then about scaling. So we just jump to global impact or entrepreneurship across borders, something like that. And then we'll talk about the sustaining. Anyway, 下一題啦 ，next question， 亦都係 last question 啦。我哋有8個大嘅 topic 嘅，咁你就 rate 個 interest 啦，5係最 interested， 1係都係 interested 嘅。咁你睇下你最想知係邊啲啊 ？Empowering people of differences, innovation methodology, that's actually Ian, and leveraging technology, John. Social entrepreneurship, that is Ian actually. Innovation methodology is Carl. SE ecosystem would be social innovation Japan, and alleviating poverty would be working with POD, Li Xia. Yeah. And then environmental solution for sure is water solution, Dr. Wang, and then health and well-being would be Chris. Yeah, that's my guess for your topic. Let's see who are interested in what kind of topic, and then our speakers. Oh, there's competing with each other. This is like running horse racing. So 第一個跑出嚟嘅應該係 health and well-being 啊，第二個緊貼隨後咧應該係 empowering people of differences 啊，咁之後繼續落咧就有 social entrepreneurship 跟隨其後，咁啊一個大直路嘅時候咧 SE ecosystem 咧開始墮後，然後 innovation methodology 開始緊追上。Alleviating poverty 好似冇人有興趣咁樣，係咪因為大家唔夠窮啊？咁然之後我哋等多3-5個啦，等多3-5個我哋就正式開始㗎啦。咁我哋睇到 actually health and well-being are quite strong interest because it's actually everybody's business about your own health. We'll see. We'll wait for 3 more around, and then we'll see what kind of topics that we're interested. Yep. 差唔多啊。So Chris needs to share a lot because everybody is interested in health and well-being, and and then Richardo will be coming next for something like that. Yeah, but OK 咁我哋轉翻去 slides 啊。我自己咧喺香港大學嗰度 part time 教 social innovation 嘅，咁一堂咧就3個鐘頭，咁就每一個星期5咁就教大概60至100個學生有關 social innovation 啦。咁每一次 lecture 咧我都會邀請一個好 amazing 嘅 guest speaker， 然後講3個鐘頭。咁但係今次咧，我哋用2個半鐘頭請咗8個 guest speaker 翻嚟，就希望咧將一個 Hong Kong style 啦，濃縮得有咁精準得咁精準，最短嘅時間帶最多嘅嘢俾你哋。咁啊，呢一堂 lecture 如果要收費咧，我都應該唔知係點樣嘅天價。咁但係我哋好榮幸啦，8個唔同嘅 speaker 都飛過嚟香港同你分享。咁你而家唔係睇緊 YouTube 嘅，咁咧你就隨時可以舉手啦，你可以嗌啦，你可以問嘢答嘢啦，就希望唔係一個 one way get 嘢嘅。而 at the same time 你諗下自己真係好想知啲乜嘢，啲 curiosity 係乜？咁啊好啦，我哋去翻個 slides 嗰度啦 ，Winnie， 轉嗰個係喎 ，OK 啦。So we will introduce ourselves about 2 questions: who you are, what you do for 1 or 2 minutes, and then the impact you aim to make for another minute. Okay, clear? So let's get started. The first one will be Adrenaline Group Singapore, Richardo.
Hello. 早晨，
我哋可唔可以拍啲着鼓掌俾佢俾掌聲？
A wake up call for everybody.
我哋名係 Rick， 我唔識講廣東話，識聽少少。Thank you for having me here in Hong Kong. First to the Organising Committee. I run a social enterprise in Singapore called Adrenaline. All right, we have been around for 11 years now. We started in 2008. And what we do is essentially organize events. All right, so if this summit was in Singapore, likely we would have been the event agency that put it together. So I understand that it is very difficult to put an event like that together. It's even more difficult to bring 8 esteemed speakers from all over Asia to be here. So I'd like to again thank the committee for their hard work. Now, the first one is who I am. So I've already introduced that. The second one is how we do good, yes? So how does events do good? And since we are an event company, we want to be a little bit more engaging. I don't want to just tell you, why don't I let you give it a shot? So if you ran an event agency, let me stand up for that. If you ran an event agency, how do you think it can do good? because it's not rocket science, right? And if you get it right, and you come to Singapore, I will buy you lunch, okay? So let's do that. Let's try that. Let's try that. Young people in the room, sir. What is your name?
Thomas.
Thomas. So how can events do good? Give it a shot, even if you don't know.
Hiring some people of differences.
Fantastic. Give him a round of applause, please. So yes, that is number one, right? Adrenaline hires persons with special needs, up to 30% of the team. Every day I come to work with wheelchair-bound folks, deaf, recovering from mental illness, and youth at risk, right? They form 30%. Good. Come to Singapore, have lunch, okay? This side of the room, young lady, how can events do good? Guess. Brilliant. Yeah, I don't even have to explain. Give her a round of applause, please. So exactly right. We do away with single-use plastics, like bottled water, for example. We give this use dispensers. We do away with printed material. Use a lot more e-solutions. Right. So environment is one. Just one last one on this side of the room, perhaps. Anybody? So you're absolutely right. Employment, environment. One last one. One last E. Young man. Ah, you thought I was going to point to her. Yes, you. In orange. And then I'm done with my introduction. One more. Give it a shot if you don't know. Close. So the last one, the last E is through the events themselves. Right? So when we do an event, we are normally the main contractor. Can we then subcontract it out to other charities and other social enterprises? Give you an example, the gift. Right? Can it be responsibly sourced? The caterer, can we get it from Dignity Kitchen, for example, right? Which is a social enterprise that's now in Hong Kong from Singapore. Can we have a performer from a charity group, right? So the decisions downstream can also be good, right? Can we raise funds? Can we use the social media to do a campaign to raise awareness, right? So through employment, through environment, and through events, and that's how we do good. Thank you.
Whoa, thank you very much for the challenge. And to say a couple words about him as a person, there's some past experience. He works in somehow the government and managed over 600 different events in his experience. Yeah. And his personal experience would be also very interested to dig deep about why would be the moment that he would choose to start quitting the government, being a social entrepreneur, but that would be later on. Sure. Second would be pandemic from Malaysia. Carl.
Hi. Thanks. So I'm going to talk a little bit about, I guess, myself first. Yes. So I have been in Malaysia for about 12 years now. And my background is in investments, so I used to work on investments in the creative industries and also in social enterprises. And now a lot of the work that I do is around practicing innovation approaches like design thinking. So for example, I teach a class at the D School at Stanford called Design Across Borders. Now, the work that my organization, Tandemic, does is really helping other organizations deal with change. A lot of the problems that we're trying to address today, problems like the breakdown in trust in government, problems like the vaccination crisis that we're facing in the world, are complex challenges. And they're not problems that we're going to face simply by giving grants to NGOs or running workshops and trainings. Right? And so the work that we do is to help organizations change how they work and what they do to help deal with these complex challenges, to think about what are the new kinds of interventions that they're going to do to address those challenges. And so the people we work with are everyone from UNDP. So this year we helped roll out 60 innovation labs across 78 countries with the United Nations Development Program, the innovation strategy for ADB, launching an innovation hub there, but also working with private organizations like banks and insurance companies that are trying to figure out, the world is changing quite a bit around us. Not only how do we change the services and products that we provide, we have to go deeper to be able to become more agile and kind of people-centered as organizations. And so we help organizations go through those changes.
Cool. So a bit more about Carl. He also co-authored, somehow contributed to a book called The Social Business Model Canvas and used it in the 80 countries. So if you want to know about innovation methodology, about how organizational change, definitely you ask a lot of questions for him. Cool. Next one, Get Links from Thailand. Join.
Hi everyone, Joe San as well. I used to be here last year actually, so I've been maybe passing some of you guys in this room speaking with one of the founders of Apple actually, 1 year ago exactly. So I'm glad to be here with you. So what I'm doing now, I have a new goal. We are aiming to give access to 1 million underprivileged kids around South Asia and Africa to employability and access to technology jobs. So that's what I'm doing now. And who I am, so I'm John Fall, I'm French initially. I grew up in France. I've got into Asia to work for Rocket Internet 5 years ago. Before that I was in Shanghai to work for Ernst & Young. And I started this company called GetLinks, which I think now is one of the largest marketplace for technology professionals in Asia. We've been invested by Alibaba. We're probably one of the first startups in South Asia to be invested by Alibaba in China. And we also got invested by JobsDB, which maybe you guys have used when you were looking for your first job. And they invested in us because they are very scared of what we are doing. We've been competing with them in several markets, namely Thailand, Vietnam, Singapore, and Hong Kong. So the company is now 100-ish people, and we are basically giving access to young professionals passionate about technology and geeks to those jobs in Google, you know, Uber, Lazada, and all this company. But no, I think really the key thing is the next big thing for us, and this is this employability challenge, because what we can see is most of the jobs we have been giving access to are very, very high paid. The technology jobs we're talking about are like 200-300% higher than the median average salary, even in Hong Kong. And most of the people who access these jobs, could actually be from anywhere, because they don't need to have done Hong Kong University to be learning code. And what we've seen is there is patterns where people are really passionate, and sometimes from rural area, could just learn online and become extremely good coders. And we want to enable awareness on large scale to people to know that actually they don't need to go to university to join the technology industry and to make a lot of money and then give back to their family. So that's what we're working on now. We'll be happy to talk about all the other stuff. Yeah, I'm Forbes 30 under 30. I'm in Rotary Club. I'm in the World Economic Forum. But you can find all of that in the internet. So hope to talk more and learn more about all of you guys and do something great together today.
Thank you, John. A few more words about John. That he is also being an entrepreneur back in Paris, in France, doing technology company founding entrepreneurship things, and then also graduated from a very top university for management. And when he said about the marketplace for technology job, that those graduates or those people who have technology can find very good job in Google, Facebook, Uber. Not Uber driver, but work in Uber as a tech team. So just to clarify. Okay, next one, Underdog and New Black, South Korea, Ian.
Yes, thank you for inviting me here. This is first time to attend this conference, so yeah, I'm really honored to be here. Who am I? The first career was a corporate banker in South Korea for 2 years, and after that, I was a strategy consulting firm for the management consulting firm in Korea for a year, and after that, I decided to be a social entrepreneur 7 years ago. And I founded two more social ventures before, and I sold it to a big company, and then this is the third time to make a social venture in Korea. Our company is a little bit unique model in South Korea because we are a company builder for the social ventures. So we are, New Black is a holding company, so we hold it 4 other social venture under the New Black. And then we invested 6 companies more in Korea. So we are a bunch of 10 companies we have right now. So especially the Underdogs. Underdogs is an education company for young people who want to be a social entrepreneur in Korea. So since 2015, we educated for about over 6,000 young people in Korea right now. So the Underdogs is kind of supply chain for us. I mean, for making a new social venture by ourselves, because we picked the CEO from there, and then we had some ideas, and we matched them for making a new concept of social venture. So we are really care about how we can grab some young people into the new social sector in Korea, because we really need to some really good talent and then good career people into the social sector, because we have to make more and more solutions for the social problem. So I hope that we reach out our program into the other Asian country, and we want to share our knowledge with the research or the issue some trend report for sharing our knowledge to Asian country. So if you want to know more about more about Underdogs, I bring my materials for the introduction material, so in the reception, so you can pick it up. Thank you.
Yeah, and more than Underdog, Ian's holding company New Black has 4 companies, all different industry, from pet food, healthy pet food.
Yes.
Yeah, and a few more I forgot, because he's doing a lot of different things.
Yeah. We have education company, and also we have a housing company for solving housing problem in young people, especially in Seoul City.
Mm-hmm.
And then pet food company, especially human grade pet food company. And we have, and also I have IT solution for platform for encouraging donation, by using application. So we made in this year we made $8 million US dollar in this year, and we're gonna expect that we're gonna double for next year. Yeah.
6,000幾萬港幣 OK 啦，係嘛？ OK。咁so if you are female, you can call him oppa. And I'll say for Ian and for normal Hong Kong people, if you work in a corporate bank and then a management consultant, it's quite tough to imagine you will shift your whole career to be a social entrepreneur. That working firstly with the hearing impaired, and then with the sharing housing, and then for a series of different social entrepreneurship. So we got a lot to learn from you. Cool. Next one, Social Innovation Japan, from Japan.
Thank you. Hi everyone, my name is Mariko. I'm from Japan. Most people look at me and they're like, "You're from Japan?" My mother's Japanese, but I grew up in the UK. So I run an organization called Social Innovation Japan. We are Japan's biggest and most diverse group of change makers, people that we define as individuals who are working towards some kind of social innovation. And our mission is really to engage as many people in solving the social and environmental issues that we face. The reason we are doing this is because some of you may be familiar, but there's this sort of stereotype of in Japan, people, have a day job that they're not really very interested in, and they stay long hours and they work long hours and they're not very engaged in what they're doing. And there's definitely an issue around empowerment and people not feeling like they can solve the problems that they face. And so what we do is we bring people together, we find people who we think are inspiring, maybe other social entrepreneurs, or people even within a corporate structure who've taken on, started a new program, or done something innovative to try and solve a problem, and to give them the platform to share, to give them the platform to connect with other people that might be able to help them, and also to grow what they're doing. And for those people who come and join our programs, it's very much about giving them the inspiration to say, maybe I can do something as well, and giving them the skills, the tools, the network, which is very important, that they need to then go on and develop their own ideas or maybe implement them too. We've been doing this for about 2.5 years, very much focused on events, and bringing people together, because in this digital age it's so important and still so rare to have that kind of in-person connection. And as we've done that, we've realized that it's great to inspire people, but the real challenge comes with the next step. So I have an idea, or like, yes, I really want to do something. I quit my job. People have come and said, I quit my job. What do I do now? And so the challenge now is to say, okay, so how do you take that next step? Even if you're staying within your company, can we help to empower you to take that next step and say, okay, I need to work with these people. This is how you start. What you were saying earlier, this is how you start a new project. And this is then how you sustain it within your organization, or you do it as a social entrepreneur. And so through that work, we've started to see more people engaging, more people running with their own ideas. But definitely over the next couple of years, I hope that we see more and more people starting their own businesses in Japan, their own social enterprises, or their own initiatives too. Thank you.
Great, thank you, Mariko. When you said about Tokyo, Japanese people work so hard, work so long hours, that sounds so much like Hong Kong and Singapore. So we'll see how Social Innovation Japan can invite us to all go to Tokyo. Yeah, one day. Okay, next one is from Shenzhen Power Solution, mainland China, Li Xia.
Hello, thank you. Morning, everyone. I'm Li Xia from Shenzhen, China. So I'm going to be 3 children's mom soon. Yeah. So I'm the founder of the Shenzhen Power Solution. Actually, I created this company is 10 years ago. So we are actually provide green energy for the BOP. So anybody heard about the BOP can raise up your hand? Yeah, BOP. So what? Just a few. So what is BOP? BOP means the bottom of a pyramid people, means the daily income is less than $1.5. So we are working for the people who is no money, no electricity. So in the last 10 years, we already served more than 4 million families across 63 countries. It's mostly in Africa, India, Pakistan. They have no electricity. So we reduced about 3.3 million tons of CO2. When we are talking about the green energy to the BOP, it's not only health, it's not only environment friendly, it's also about reduce poverty. The thing we produce to replace the kerosene is helping them to reduce a lot of carbon emissions. So we have now about 130 staffs, and 60% is women. So yeah, so we really empower the women youth also. Maybe the boss is also the woman, so that's the reason maybe. And yeah, the biggest challenge for us is how to balance when you want to serve for the poverty people, and you also want to give the good quality and good technology products. I think that is the innovation. So you can hear about our stories in the next 2 hours, how we achieve more than $10 million in the last 10 years without even 1 cent of grants, without 1 cent of investment. So we would like to share our stories in the next 2 hours. Thank you.
Wow. I had an immediate feeling to ask the questions that what is the more difficult task that managing 160 people social enterprise versus managing 3 children? And to just explain a bit more about bottom of pyramid. 一個人口金字塔咁樣咧，最有錢嘅喺最頂，跟住就最少人嘅0.1%，跟住就最多人喺個 bottom 咧，就係少於美金1.5蚊一日，即係500蚊港幣月薪嘅人，就叫做 bottom of pyramid， 叫 POB。其實我哋今日嘅信報咧，即係你知信報係有錢人睇噶嘛。咁就寫一篇好大嘅文咧，叫即係點樣做到精準扶貧，其實係我哋寫嘅。咁就今日登啦，就講3個諾貝爾經濟學獎嘅其中2個人就研究點樣做扶貧。Talking about the Nobel laureate on peace, about studying poor economics, yeah, about bottom of pyramid, BOP. So yeah. We have a lot of questions to ask you about scaling, about working with different countries and stuff. Okay, thank you, Li Xia. Next one is Fairlands Environmental Protection Side Tech. We will speak in Mandarin.
好，谢谢主持人。谢谢主持人，谢谢各位观众，也非常谢谢这个组委会给了我们深圳2个名额。我也是来自深圳。我们的公司呢是做农村污水处理的，就是刚才主持人在做调查的时候，很多人对这个扶贫 好像不是很感兴趣。但我觉得有一个很重要的原因，就是可能贫困离我们很遥远，尤其是我们生活在大城市里的人。但是有一个东西可能非常非常关联的，就是水。深圳有75%的水源来自于广东省的和其他省的，就是贫困地区，它供我们的水源。香港更多，香港将近80%。所以呢，就是这个水呢，你是切不断的。但是呢，水如果前边污染了，你到后边来治理的话，你是需要非常非常高的成本，可能是5倍、10倍的成本。但是呢，前端的人他生活在那里，他是有他生活的权利，他有他生活的方式，所以你必须去改变它。但是呢，你还不能，你要讲求方式的改变它。其实改变它，其实是用我们最好的方式，是用我们最节约的方式来保持我们水的干净。我觉得这是一个扶贫对我们来讲，对城市里和农村的每一个人最关切的点。所以，虽然我们不是做扶贫的，因为环境和贫困和经济是紧密相连的。如果没有经济的发展，肯定这个也没有环境的保护。所以其实我们的方式是用技术的力量，然后怎么样去服务大众，怎么样让这些看似他的环保意识不强的人，能够更快地参与到这个环保建设里边，怎么能让他们用起来？我觉得这是一个非常非常重要的地方。是我们公司呢是这个中科院深圳先进技术研究院孵化的一个公司，我们规模并不大，我们才不到30个人，但是呢，我们改变了就是整个污水处理的方式，用我们的设备，然后去建设不需要管网的方式，可以节省整个建设费用的50%。然后呢，也在8个省，全国的8个省也出口到了古巴，所以我也很希望借助这机会能给大家分享一下，怎么样從一個小的想法，把它變成一個社會影響。謝謝。
係咁我哋之前都同黃博士傾就話，如果你裏邊要講好多水嘅一啲科技咧，係講3個鐘都未講完嘅，同埋黃博士仲喺美國讀埋個博士後咧，其實佢可以講15個鐘頭水污染嘅。咁啱啱都盡力去抑制自己唔講太多即係裏邊嘅 detail。咁但係就係同水資源相關啦，同埋你知我哋啲水都係嚟自東江噶嘛，咁就同我哋都息息相關。Okay, next one, the Keep Moving Project from Hong Kong finally. Chris.
All right. Good morning, everybody. Wow, I'm really impressed with the accomplishments of everybody up here, and I actually feeling a little intimidated. But so anyway, my name's Chris. As Freddie said, I live in Hong Kong, and I started this company called the Keep Moving Project. Now, I guess like how this came about was if we think about a few questions, like what is health, or what is wellness, or what is well-being, and then I guess really like why does it even matter, all right? Or why are these questions important in the first place? So the fact is that our environment is ultimately going to dictate our longevity, right? And where you're born dictates how long you live more than anything else. So if you look at genes, which most people, they think of genetics as being a primary driver of health, that actually only accounts for about 7% of your lifespan. Right? The rest of it is completely environmental. And then the quality and I guess like the mental activity and your physical activity dictate the quality of life you have. So there's a big difference from, say, being 85, 90 years old and having to sit inside all day versus being 85 or 90 years old and being able to go on walks with your grandkids. So, well, I guess and then that's the main question that we asked ourselves. Now, my life in this industry all started with a small gym in Hong Kong called CrossFit Asphodel. Now, at the same time, I was working in a corporation where it occurred to me that the way corporations are set up, by and large, they actually are enabling people to have a worse life after they they retire, rather than a better life. And the thing is, they don't even realize that they're doing it. So I think a lot of people might have heard that sitting is the new smoking, and that definitely plays into it, but that's only a small piece. The main thing is that when we look at health and wellness, we try to make it an individualized thing. So let's say if we look at somebody and they're not healthy, we believe it is entirely their fault and they are personally responsible for that. But the fact is that the environment that we put them in might not give them the opportunity to be healthy in the first place. So what we do with Keep Moving is we try to take away that barrier and then give people the opportunity to be as healthy as possible. And we do that through a couple different ways. The biggest, I guess the fundraising side of it is around a corporate wellness program that we run kind of like a consulting company where we have different companies and they send their employees to us and we teach them a few different concepts of well-being. And then we take that money and we put that into a program we call Keep Moving Kids, where we teach kids basically the same thing, but in a way that they can relate to. And as of last count, we have about 1,000 kids in the region who are participating in this program. And actually, right now, I'm in discussions with a much larger group than mine that will easily triple that number by next year.
Cool. And before we go on the discussion, Rebecca.
Yeah, thank you, Freddie. Well, we had really a wonderful lot here with a lot of new business models, good solutions to solve problems. So I'm very impressed because I myself was a business entrepreneur. I turned into a social entrepreneur some 12, 13 years ago. In fact, I got the inspiration from a group of university students when I visited my daughter in London. So because they were graduates from #1 universities like Cambridge, Oxford, LSE. So I asked them, what are you going to do after you graduate? And very surprisingly, most of them told me that they would like to be social entrepreneurs. And that was the first time that I heard about social entrepreneur. I was totally ignorant at that time, even though as a business entrepreneur, I'd like to change the world. I like to use innovative methods. So for the NGOs that I'm serving, I always ask them, could we generate income by ourselves instead of asking for donations? Because during bad times, it's really difficult to get donations, and it would affect our services. But most of them said, oh, we are NGOs, we shouldn't do that. We shouldn't gain any money. We shouldn't think of incomes. If people donate to us, then we'll continue with our service. But I just know at the bottom of my heart that there should be something more that we could do because there are so many talents and resources, even within NGOs. And I kept on searching, but I couldn't find the right term for it, and I couldn't find the right bundle of people to work together with me. So I was totally surprised and was really happy when the university students told me what is social enterprise. And that was my aha moment. And then I started to do research. I started to ask people around. And whenever I go to England to visit my daughter, I would knock on the door of companies or social enterprises that I found on the website. And I just asked them, I'm interested in your company. Can I go to your office, talk to your boss, and know what you are doing? And they are really very friendly. I remember I went to Clearly So and also to a number of organizations that are being assisted by the government. It's really eye-opening for me. So gradually, I retire, as many of you know, I retire from my own business, even though I sit in my office, but everything I do is nothing to do with my own business. So my husband always say that you are 不務正業. You are not doing your proper job. What are you doing every day? So that's what I'm doing, researching, writing, and then started to know many friends from the social enterprise areas. And these people are very passionate. So we come together, we form social enterprises, we get involved in the Social Enterprise Summit, and then we think of new ideas every day, and we also talk to other people. So we gave talks at universities, even though we're not lecturers, we're not professors, but we feel that it's important for young people to learn about social enterprises and the spirit of social entrepreneurship. That's how we started. I'm really pleased because that's my second career. And this journey is so interesting, and it makes me feel very passionate. So every day when I wake up, I know I have to face a lot of problems. I am there to solve the problems. I will have a lot of work to do, but I'm very happy and passionate and energetic. So I'm pleased to be sit here because I regard myself as a young social entrepreneur. Always young at heart, right? No matter what your age is, and no matter what you have experienced, we are always young at heart and we are always looking for innovative solutions. So I'd like to ask all of you, what are your aha moments? Which moment made you change your mind and embark on this so difficult journey, yet interesting and rewarding journey? What is it that made you change in the first place?
Feel free.
I'll take a stab at that. So I was previously working in investments. So I worked with an investment fund. We were making investments in the creative industries. And it was work that was interesting, but I didn't particularly like it. And one day I walked by, there was a book sale. And when there's a book sale, you have to buy the books, right? And so there's a book sale, they had a big bin and there were a whole bunch of books in it. And one of the books was called Boomer. And it's just a small, illustrated graphic book. And it's a story about a guy, and he grows up, he's a baby boomer, right? He grows up and he goes to school, and then he goes to university. He marries the person he meets in university. They move into an apartment. He gets a job. They have a kid. He gets a promotion. The kid grows up, goes to university. He has a midlife crisis. His wife leaves him. Kid doesn't talk to him anymore. He retires from his company. He gets a golden watch. He's like, that's it. And then he dies. And so, I read the book and I was like, not much happens, in that book, right? And I was like, that could be me. And so, I was always very interested. In the back of my mind, there's always this thing that very interested me a great deal, which is, the private sector has made so much progress through innovation. Like in the last 50 years, the internet was created, and we have all of the things that we have today. And yet, in the last 50 years, orphanages have not really changed the way that they operate, right? And so there is so much potential, I think, in the social sector for innovation, and kind of that. And I said, finally, I said, maybe I should actually start exploring this a little bit more seriously. So that's a little bit about my story.
So your story summed up in one sentence is you get very inspired from a really boring book.
Yes, 100%.
Wow.
So you should tell the teachers about it.
Yeah, some of you. What's your moment that you made up your mind, determined to be a social entrepreneur? Any one of you?
Yes.
I think it's during a trip of India. It's my first time to India. It's in 2007. It's 12 years ago. So I see a lot of slums by myself. So at that time, I was in the business of TOP, top of pyramid. So I was actually 15 years entrepreneur, but first 5 years I'm working for the business entrepreneur too. Let's give me the first buckle of the gold to support my second business the first 3 years. It's really a challenge. But when I see a lot of slums, I start to feel very bad. I used to be one of the BOP 30 years ago. I did not even have the chance to finish my high school. So I tried to learn hard and learn English, practice everything by myself. Then when I see the slums, I start to realize not everybody is lucky like me. Maybe they don't have any chance to be out of the slums in the whole life. So I start to think, should I really do something who is really in need of the product, can really helping them to improve their life? So that is my starters. And how to encourage me to sustain for 10 years. I think all the social entrepreneurs is meeting a lot of challenge, especially in the startups, even me. So when I see the BOP is getting a light, which really changed their life a lot, they start to give me a big hug. So that feel me satisfied is not beyond only money. So I also feel the challenge want to give up in 2017 because I start to become a mom of 2 small children. I start to think about how to balance my life and my work. So the countries I visited is really dangerous, like Somalia, Sudan, Nigeria is really dangerous. I visit a lot of users. I start to think, if I die, who will take care of my children, right? So, but that is also give me a big encouragement. I see the changes of my children because I'm doing this work. They started to go to the road in Hong Kong to ask for donation for the elders, even they are only 3 years old. They start to clean the ball without even one piece of rice left because they know African children no food, no water, no power. So I think that encouraged me how to sustain for the last 10 years and back to my journey again in 2018. So that's my story where I start. Thank you.
Very compassionate.
Great.
Yeah, and you have strong empathy for people at the bottom of the pyramid. Yeah, I could feel your passion burning inside you. Yeah.
So did you tell your team you are coming to a very dangerous place called Hong Kong? Okay, I guess one more and then we'll
Yeah,
go for the
from
next
this
question
side.
about starting.
So my story is fairly similar to Rebecca, except that instead of the top students from a top university, the students that inspired me were from the boys' prison in Singapore. So I did a volunteer program with them to help them organize events inside the boys' home. And at the end, it was a funny story because I said to them, if you want me to coach them, you must give me the best of the boys. So they did. They gave me 7 boys. And I asked them, how do you pick them? And then they said they picked them from all the different gangs, the gang leaders inside the boys' home, because they're the best. I said, okay, yeah, that makes sense. Right? So I then went through a 7-week program with them to help put a concert together. And at the end of it, I was walking one of the boys back, and I said, after you leave the home, where are you going to do? What are you going to do? What job are you going to have? Then he said he can only do one job in his mind, and that is to move dead bodies. So there's a 16, 17-year-old boy with his future in front of him, and the job he thought he could do was to move dead bodies. Nothing wrong with that job, obviously, but that sort of was the sparking point for me to say, hey, can we get these boys to be DJs, MCs, photographers, video editors, etc., etc. Right? So I guess the lesson here is that if you would like to help a particular group of people or want to be part of a particular community, you have to sort of immerse yourself in first. So I wasn't thinking of starting a social enterprise at that point. It was just sort of a piece of volunteer work that I did. But that really triggered the said, can events be a way to give these boys some skills?
Thank you very much. So to summarize, 3 of you is if you're looking for inspiration to start a social innovation, you meet with people of very different circles of you, people in need. You go to places that is in need, and you read some interesting books to start a social innovation. And yes, totally related. And I had a bit emotional hearing about the boys in prison because some of my students were arrested, and they'll be in jail for a couple years, and I'm also worried about their future. So I see hopes that in social entrepreneurs that would solve social problems, and let's go on with our social entrepreneurial journey.
Just to add on to what Freddy has just said, I feel that it's not only people in the social sector, they are concerned about the society. We also have some students who are being arrested by the police over the last couple of days. So I reached out to my friends, especially the lawyers. And in fact, some of them have formed a pro bono group to help these students. But they were so busy because the police arrested so many of them. And their families were very anxious, the teachers were very anxious. So these pro bono lawyers, they helped out and really gave a lot of advice to the teachers, the headmasters, and also their parents. And of course, they will deal with the police officer and go through all the procedures with them. So I feel that even the professional groups, they really would like to do something for the society. So I really hope that our energy in this room will not only stay here, not only stay within the social sector, we should bring it out to the business world, to the professionals, and everybody in the society, because in fact, it's not only us. Everyone could be a change maker. We have many change makers here already. For example, Vanessa from the manufacturing industry, and she's the founder of the mills, and she's totally disrupting the traditional business model. And also we have Alex here, who is a venture capitalist, and he is investing a lot of good social ventures. So I'm sure we could mingle around later on and bring our message out to as many people as possible. You see, my passion is burning again. Yeah. So I let the second question start.
Yes,
Freddy.
so second question is more about the practical things about starting your social innovation. How did you form your team and fund your venture? People and money. John, probably?
But I think I need to go back to how I started.
Yes.
So I play video game a lot, and I was very, very lazy. Any of you guys have been lazy last couple of days and feel like, oh, I cannot start walking? Raise your hands. Right?
That
Everyone.
sounds,
Okay, you didn't raise your hand, but French people, we have so much holiday, you know. So we. So I used to be very lazy, and I was in this management school called ESCP Europe, and it's really the top school, you know, like Hong Kong University maybe in France, and I was still very lazy, right? Because I just needed to work a little bit, and I could pass every year, and I was playing video games a lot, and then I went to this hackathon. So a hackathon is like a 24 hours competition where you can just come and have fun, you know, meeting some nerds and do some project with them. It was called the NASA Space App Challenge in 2013. And I thought that it was cool to work with the NASA for 24 hours, right? So I joined. And then I was seeing a lot of, you know, projects, really first world problem, like, okay, how to use drones to, you know, deliver food to my pet, all those type of things. And one of the projects that were in this weekend was a bunch of African guys who were like younger than me. At that time I was like 20 and they were like, you know, 17, 16. And somehow they were Skyping in the whole weekend to be able to join the hackathon remotely because they didn't have this hackathon in Togo, if I recall. And so I saw all my friends. We did a nice project, you know, something cool with the robots. And then what they did is they had a really limited internet connections, and they presented something at the end of the 24 hours which just slapped me in the face like never before. Within the 24 hours, they were from the slum actually, and they have built a 3D printer out of the e-waste that other kids were burning in the slum. They've turned that into a working 3D printer in 24 hours. And I felt like, oh my God, I have everything. I have internet, and I use it to play video games. You know, watch Netflix or stupid TV shows every day. I'm complaining about myself. I'm asking my parents money. I've been paid a very expensive school, and I'm still super lazy. And these guys have nothing. They have like a 256 kilobyte connection, and then somehow, without being to school, they have learned themselves how to do electrical engineering enough to be building a 3D printer within 24 hours. So I really felt like I was no one, nothing, right? And I didn't deserve to be on this planet because there were those people which with the same amount of time as me, you know, they were actually younger than me. They were more hungry of actually getting out of their current situation with no resources at all. And I really felt bad. And I think at that time, I really realized that everything we have in our developed countries, you know, France is very similar to Hong Kong, right? We're kind of the same environment, right? We're very safe. We have everything we want. We think we have everything is going to continue forever. And we really look back to these people, you know, in maybe in some people in South Asia, you know, Indonesia, Philippines, etc., you know. But actually, any time of the year next year, maybe everything gonna just break down right, and see what's happening in Hong Kong right now, right? We never imagined we're gonna have that happening here, right? I used to live in Hong Kong last year, and I never imagined I'm gonna see Hong Kong in that situation, right? I was feeling so safe here, right? And no, I'm in Singapore. I'm feeling so safe in Singapore. But who knows, right? So who knows? So what if when we are safe, we can actually put some energy on making sure that if something bad happens, we'll have the mechanism to enable our populations to come back to this level quickly. And I think this is through knowledge and education. And I think we're really lucky because today's technology have never been that high, right? We are living in an era that if people 1,000 years ago were seeing us, they would think that we are gods, right? They would call us gods and start to, pray us, right? But we have that power into our hands that we have every day. But the thing we're doing with it is just watching Netflix, right? But these tools are very, very powerful, and I think it's really very important for us to realize that not only we need to use these tools, but we need to use it for the good cause, right? So I really like when you guys talk about that. So then I started to do a makerspace right after seeing these guys, and I ran that makerspace. It was the first in Paris at the time, and I make it very short. We failed because we didn't know how to do business. We was just a bunch of students. And because we wanted to this makerspace to enable people to learn technology, etc. And that's when I decided to go back to business, right? And actually to go and build a startup. So in Asia, I thought it was a good playground because, of all the demographic, millennials and crazy internet penetration, and people here are eager to discover new technology products. So during the last couple of years, we've raised almost 10 million US, and we've made, almost 10 million US as well. But really, how it started was to really keep in mind that it's all about connecting people with technology so they can do good, and no matter where they're coming from. Right, so I think that's really how we got to start with this small community. I was just mentioning, I replicated what I've seen back in France, in Bangkok first, where we launched some events in my place. So it was a very small, 10 people beer sharing session about technology, like a mini hackathon. And this thing actually, we've done it every month. And the fourth month we were 800 people. So there were this really big interest about doing a startup, right? And being a tech entrepreneur like Mark Zuckerberg at that time. I heard it's still there. Hong Kong still haven't got their unicorn, so everyone still wants to do that, and so that's how we started with this small community. Yeah.
So how do you find the team is with the beer and being very lazy?
So not lazy anymore, but beers, yes. I think it helps. Partially in Asia, you need something to break the ice. Right, but if it's not beers, it can be Coca-Cola or it can be coffee. It's something you can cheers, right? To say hi to the person next to you.
Great, thank you. Some more? How do you find your team? How do you fund the venture?
If I can jump in on John's, I think your point about starting small is really important. And with the people that come to our programs, come to our events, that they may have a burning desire to do something, or they may be inspired through meeting someone that they want to do something themselves, but often they stop themselves from doing anything else because they're like, oh, but I could never do that, or I don't have the money, I don't have the skills to build something myself. But for our, we're not at the scale of some of the other people here, but we just started out by saying, well, we're interested in hearing from people who are innovating in this space, and I'm sure there are other people who are doing that. So why don't we rent a space? We charge people to come and bring them into the room. And we took a bit of a risk because we had to pay for the venue. We had to, if we didn't get more than, I think, 50 people into the room, then we would have struggled. But, we made money on the first event just by putting it out there. It was really scrappy. I did it with 2 friends who are now my co-founders. And, we just gave it a try. And we're like, we may fail. But we were prepared to fail at that first point. And you know, we were successful, luckily, in that first go. But if we weren't, we may have tried it again with a different format or tried something else. And I think just being willing to put yourself out there and just try something, however small it may be. We got the beers in, we got some snacks. And we're like, well, we'll try and have a good time anyway. And yeah, it just grew from there. And I think if more people could take that kind of scrappy approach and just try it and see what happens, then, you know, you have then the potential to grow on top of that.
Did you share matcha and sushi over there as well?
Sorry?
Matcha and sushi?
Yeah, maybe. I think beer is more effective in breaking the ice, though.
Okay. Some more? How do you fund the team and how do you fund the venture?
好，谢谢。这个问题我们其实遇到过很多，就是在最开始的时候，首先怎么去组自己的团队。最开始的时候，我们是非常简单的，其实就是同事和朋友，然后就开始了这件事情。但是开始这件事情之后，我们其实掉入了一个漩涡，就是因为在深圳投资也很兴盛，大家都觉得第一件事情要去融资，然后我们去谈了很多人就提了很多问题啊，你怎么挣钱？一听说我们要服务农村地区，很多投资人啊，算，然后你可不可以换一个方向？你换一个方向怎么都行，你做什么都行，不要做这个，要挣钱，挣有钱人的钱。他们说的是对的，但是呢，后来我们去开始做，刚开始做的时候，去满足别人的需求的时候，当时也在是无奈的办法下，但是我们发现了另外一个渠道，其实我们真的是想要钱吗？其实我们并不是一定是想要钱，钱只是资源的一种，而我们其实是想做成这件事情。然后我们后来就跟科学团队合作，就比如我们要开发这个产品，我们需要光我们自己的技术是不够的，因为它是一个融合技术，我们要跟这个科学团队，那我要找出来，从市场上把它翻译成科学家能听得懂的语言，啊，这是他感兴趣的这个技术点。然后他非常感兴趣，他就帮我们去测试这些东西，然后我们再把它整合起来。当我们去生产的时候，其实我们就有很多我们传统行业里有非常多他遇到很大困难的生产企业，他不知道该做什么，他不知道该怎么去改善他的产品，然后我们就把这个很大的巨量的机会介绍给他，我们把我们的设计、我们整合的技术、我们的方式介绍给他。他也很开心，然后去帮我们去把这个最开始的 model 做出来，然后去试用。当然，具体这些东西，其实当然这是一个刚开始的过程，当然我们遇到了很多困难，但是越来越我们发现，其实除了直接的投资之外，还有很多别的方式可以促成你的成功。但是这个是我们认识到社会企业的一个更重要的方式，就是你做一个企业，不只是为了挣钱，其实是为了完成一个社会目标。当这个社会目标被越来越多的人认可的时候，其实钱是一个很小的一部分，这个也是我们组成团队的一个很重要的方式。就是有一些不只是完全的紧密的，我是一个公司的人，而且我们这是为什么我们只有26个人的团队可以做很多事情。
26个人已经挺多了。好，talk about earning money from the rich. Maybe Lisha, it will be the next question. Is how did you launch your first product and how was the experience? Because your product is targeting on those poor.
So actually, it's very hard in the beginning. When we I still remember when my first time to go to the Canton Fair to try to show to the people. I bring maybe more than 30 products from different solar field because I never know which product is for the right people. What is the right solution? So we spend years and years to develop the products to improve. Many people ask me, a lot of my partners locally in Africa or India, they respect me a lot because they say, you are also rich people in China. Why you come here to serve the BOP? And in order to make the product is really good, I really visit a lot of users. Sometimes we drive about 6 to 7 hours. Sometimes we climb up about 6 to 7 hours to the mountains to see the users. So a lot of my partners say, if you were never here, I will never come to my rural country, never. So it's because of me. So why we need to visit the user? Because we really need to see what is the on-ground need. So just one product develop I want to show you. For example, we call it a candle scaler. Why we call it a candle scaler? The retail price of this one is $5. So $5 means the BOP spend a 3 months to 4 month kerosene cost. They can buy one of this using for 36 months at least. So that's why we say it's reduced poverty. We help them to save the money. But it's not only that, it's more brighter. We make this 6 hours, this 4 hours every day, just by charging from this solar 5 hours only. So this is more cleaner, safer, and brighter. But in order to cut down the cost, to save the last mile transportation, maybe you can never imagine in the last mile, sometimes they just use their shoulder. They use the bicycle, or even they use the mules to deliver to the last mile. The transportation is really a challenge. So we started thinking to cut down the stand for the reading, to save the cost for the freight. But there's another challenge. One is so low, how you read like this is not possible, right? So we start to think how to serve the people good quality, don't reduce the user friendly, how they feel the products, but at the same time to save the cost. Then the innovation is really so important. We just make a very small, tiny design here. We make it round. The idea actually is from the journey I drive from Ethiopia to Somalia, because my customer told me there is a fair in the airport, you cannot fly. Then we have to go by truck. During the 6 hours on the journey, I see a lot of remote villages, very remote villages on the way. But I see a lot of waste bottle, the water bottle is available everywhere, even in the last mile, no matter how rural, how remote it is. So it's coming to my idea, can we use this one locally, which they can pick up in the street, like a stand? Then we just made a very small modification like this. So that means they can find a stand available, international standard, anywhere as a stand. No need to pay for the cost. But the user means if when you have this stand, you can read it like this. Don't increase the cost. So the modification, what they help us, before we have one small box, which can only hold 40 pieces with a higher stand. So after we cut the stand, the same box, which can hold 96 pieces, is more than double. So that is what I say the innovation is so really important in the product development. So after 2008, it's economic crisis. Everybody want to throw out the factory to be a cheating company, branding company, or small team. I was the only different one to switch from a branding company, cheating company into a manufacturer. The only reason is I want to really control the cost, the quality from design, from the origin of manufacturers. So today we discuss a lot about the e-waste, we discuss a lot about the environment friendly. I think the origin mostly is from manufacturing part. No matter you manufacture the high buildings or manufacture the small product like this, is all from design. So what our team is really insist on is design decide 70% of the quality and the cost. So we pay a lot of attention in the design. When you see our product, you can see a lot of design innovation, how to reduce e-waste in the designing process, how to reduce cost in the designing process to make it more affordable, durable, and more innovative. Thank you.
Well, this is a very good point that Lisa has brought up. In fact, we've been talking about design for extreme affordability. This is a concept that the Stanford University has been advocating many years ago. For example, there are people who are very poor, as you said. There are people at the bottom of the pyramid. They may not be able to afford expensive items, but still they have their daily needs. For example, they need to eat, they have to read, but they don't have lighting. They have to write on desks. But even in poor areas, the children do not have a desk to write on. So there are many social entrepreneurs like Lisa that are making use of the designs and to lower the cost of the manufacturing and also make use of whatever is available. So in that way, they could reduce the production cost as low as possible. And also, they will also help, they look for alliances, partners, so that they could reduce the cost of marketing as well. So this has benefited a lot of people, especially in the mountainous area in China, in Africa, in the desert area where there's no electricity, transportation is very limited. So we hope that the idea of design for extreme affordability could be further expanded so that the basic needs of these poor people could be met and they could enjoy life as we all can. Yeah. Any other thoughts on that?
Because Carl is actually design thinking expert and also have this Stanford, and maybe I saw you just took pictures. Maybe this is your next case study. So you can share how did you launch your first product, first surveys or training? How was the experience?
I think what was important was not, for us, what was important was not the launch of the first product. Because your first product is the wrong product in many cases. And what we have gone through, I think, over the last few years is a process of continuously renewing what our product offering is and continuously thinking about, what is actually needed. Not what are people telling us that they want, but what is actually that people need to achieve, and how do we help them better achieve that? And running lots of experiments and learning from as many people as we can about how we can redesign that product, right? And so we started, doing make-a-thons and stuff in the entrepreneurship space, and then we've kind of evolved in many ways, and there was design thinking, but and in every stage when we got good at something, we realized that it wasn't enough. And so, right now, one of the big things that we're thinking about is it is really good to be able to design products and services that help the world. But products and services are not enough to deal with the complex challenges that we have today, right? We have to redesign our economic system so that it's more circular. We have to rethink what is the relationship between citizens and governments. And all of these challenges require multiple simultaneous interventions. Many different products and services need to be deployed at the same time so we can change these systems. And so for me, it's just been a constant process of every year. You talked about our product last year is different than our product this year, right? Every year it changes and it evolves. And I think we've designed our organization to have that thirst, that hunger for learning, so that we know that every year we've made some progress over the past year.
Yes, of course. Please.
Sorry, I want to add just one word. I think nobody can make a perfect solution in the first time. So the innovation, the solution is keep improving.
Yes, and there's one famous quote from the founder of LinkedIn. Rick Holman said, if the first product that you launch did not make you embarrassed, you have launched it too late. Yeah, so no one's make perfect product at the first place. Yes, and 30 minutes is gone. Now we have some questions from the floor about starting social innovation from you to any of us, and we'll give you some of our experience. Yes, can we give him give the gentleman a mic so everybody can hear very clearly and you don't need to shout. And you're coming far from Singapore, I see.
Yes. In fact, Ricardo.
The mic is coming. Yeah.
So sorry. My name is Loy. I didn't start up this. My boss actually went back on Friday. He wished he could be here. But Ricardo knows us very well. Ricardo is an event organizer. And when he buy you lunch, he's going to bring you to our place. Because we operate a food court in Singapore. We are a social enterprise. We train disadvantaged kids. Now, we are actually invited to come to set up the same thing over in Hong Kong. And the challenge we face, like a new startup in Hong Kong, is to actually, how to look for young people. I'm evergreen. I reach the age of, right? We
you
call
are not
ourselves
alone.
evergreen.
You are not alone.
Okay. How to really engage, the young people to understand, to see the mission that we go through, because we find that will be a challenge. You know, I mean, you know, we come from Singapore, and our culture is slightly different, and what we do are also very different. Okay, we are involved in the food industry, which is the most hardest. In fact, I would say, I used to be a chef, and kitchen staff has the lowest EQ. Right?
Really?
and yeah, and then you get disabled kids, disadvantaged kids, and you are training them to serve the public. And the first thing they have in mind is that, is it safe? You know? So what we do is that we go for ISO 22000. We are the only ISO 22000 food court in the world, I would say that. And we train them using a curriculum that we developed in Singapore, right? And we train them in hygiene, we train them in maintaining secure, safe and secure environment, how to interact with guests, you know. And then we go into specialization. And that is where we need the local people to come together with us.
So to get further specific of your questions, you want to attract people with special needs to join you, or just normal young people?
Normal young people to help the special needs.
I see. Okay.
We already have a long line of special
I
needs
see.
already.
Totally understand. Then let me find the best expert to answer those questions from South Korea. He works with the young people for a lot of years.
Yes, this is totally personal opinion, not for the others one. I think that we have to show the career paths, and also we have to show the future for their living for life, actually for the making of money, you know what? Because young people, especially millennial generation, they really want to have balance between for making money and also for making social goods. But usually in nonprofit organization and before, they just giving them some kind of mission and vision for making a world better. But nowadays, young people really want to keep their life and better, and with better food and better clothes, and going a trip or something. And also, they want to find some meaning in their life and jobs. So in Korea, we are, especially our company is, we are producing our product and service in the market side, not the government side. We want to have some better battle in the market side with the private sector, not just the social sector. Because customers really want to consume their money in a, the good product and good services, not just for giving them some kind of meaningful, from supporting some beneficiary or something. So usually in Korea, we are searching for volunteer. Whenever searching for the volunteer, we have to show them how we will treat you as a salary or give some money or something. Yes, because I think it's fair, not just giving some meaning, but also that we have to give you some benefit. And also we have to show them when you be a social entrepreneur or entrepreneur who can support the beneficiary or the special people, and you can be a good person, and also you can be a role model to the others. As making money, because it's a really natural thing to young people. I think so.
Great. Let me summarize what Ian is saying. I heard three things: BBC, balancing money and meaning, balancing wellness and the career and the professionalism, and then the career path and the future. Yeah. Cool, John.
Yeah, I agree with what you said, but I will add something a little bit, because for us, when we started, I was 22 years old in a country which is not mine, which I didn't speak the language, and I think we got really being lucky, because we organized the first conference with 3,000 people, actually 4,000, and we had no money to pay those people. So I don't think money came into the picture at the time. And it was not really social, but I think the impact we made was social. And I think it's just the thing we gave to these people, and these are millennials, they want to be cool. So to answer your question, I think you just need to find a way to make it so cool. How do you make things cool to millennials? I think it's mentioned a purpose, but honestly it's not purpose, it's something they can show off. Okay, so if they cannot show off with something material, they need to show off with some big names, some celebrity, some thing that they're gonna show on Facebook or Instagram. Okay, so the lucky thing is in social impact, generally very, very important people want to be giving back. So it's much easier to catch them, right? So for us, we got to catch very, very big influencer in the country to come to our conference, and the people who were volunteer helping for free, they were able to actually interact with those people, which they would have never known otherwise, and take a picture with them, a selfie. So maybe that's where you guys can play with, right? I'm sure he have a lot of connections, and you trade hours of work to millennials with a selfie, seriously. So that would be my advice to you. Make it cool using those celebrities who want to give back.
So basically, make kids cool. Will be the way out. Okay, cool. Some more questions from the floor?
The
yes,
lady,
behind.
Sorry, the lady on that side in blue, did you raise your hand?
Yes, yeah. We'll get two questions.
Yeah, ladies
and then we'll move
first.
on. Yeah. We'll capture both.
Good morning. I really appreciate this forum because I actually have been trying to attend this for the last 10 years. I mean, since 2010.
This is your first time here?
No, I've been trying to actually help our students in the ethnic minority community to try to understand social enterprise. So I've been actually I volunteered the first year I came here back to Hong Kong, and to this summit actually. And I've been trying to I've been trying to get my students to come. Unfortunately, they didn't come today. So I'm here. What I wanted to ask was that I think especially there's a lot of education people here now, is how do you put forward this social innovation in terms of the education sector? I've been trying to explain to our marketing, business, accounting teachers, this is the way to go. They can't get it. I mean, in the 10 years I've been in the school, it's still there, you know, like I'm still the one coming here instead of them. How do you bring about more change in the education sector? And actually, I wanted to connect to the gentleman there. If you wanted to approach people who are marginalized, well, ethnic minorities are marginalized. It will be easier actually to get people. If you look at the retail sector here, service sector, most of the people who are working in the food industry are actually ethnic minorities. So if you needed help contacting, I can bring you with them. Okay, so that's one. And secondly, I wanted to, this is the one, if you have curriculum, I heard somebody say that they have a curriculum. I'd like to, if we could have it, share it, and so on, then we can have more movement in the education sector. Because I think one of the biggest problems in Hong Kong now is that people, the young people, don't know what to do. I think social innovation could be a way to go. Some things cannot be changed in Hong Kong. We have to effect some certain changes within ourselves to be more happy in our lives.
It is true that education institutions, universities, schools, are the most difficult institutions to change, because I myself is also a school manager. So I've been talking to the board about social innovation, and they say, oh, very good. But then when I ask them, could we do something with our schools? And they will say, let's think about it. And then after a year, nothing happens. But we need to do something to let the top level, the teachers, especially the board, the principals, the supervisors, to understand more about it. So whenever I can, I invite them to all of my social innovation activities, forums. And so finally, I have a breakthrough after talking to them for over 2 years. So finally, they allow me, because there are some extracurricular activities that they need to do. So I said, why don't we organize a social innovation day? For example, for secondary Form 3 students, In any case, they need to look for service providers. So they said, okay, so let's do it. So we have a very interesting social innovation day for a group of 80 students. And then and it's really big fun. And the teachers, they could feel the passion, they could feel that the students are enjoying it, and they really learn something out of it. Then I asked the principals, why don't we spread it to Form 4, for higher form students? And then she said, okay, so we have a smaller gathering for Form 4 students. And then just 2 months ago, another organization of mine called the Golden Age Foundation, because of the social unrest situation in Hong Kong, so I proposed to the principal, why don't we have some change-making dialogues with the students so that they could ease the tension? Because actually the teachers, they don't know what to do under such tense atmosphere, especially inside the school, because many students go onto the street. So I proposed this change-making dialogue. So we have 2 sections of change-making dialogues with Form 5 students. And it was really impactful because some students cried out. Some said that they couldn't talk to anybody. Some said that they had very poor relationship with their parents because the parents were deep blue and they were not allowed to discuss it at home, etc. And then in the second section, we tell them, okay, we are facing so many problems. What can we do? So we give them the example of social innovators, of young social innovators, of course, and they were impressed. And then we introduced the idea of social innovation and encouraged them to look further ahead and to widen their perspective. Yes, we are facing a lot of problems now in Hong Kong, but think of yourself in 10 years' time. What would you like to be? What would you like to do? So I'm glad that we have sown some seeds earlier on in the minds of the principals and also the board of managers. And now we have sown some seeds in the minds of students. Again, small steps. But I'm really grateful to be able to do this. So let's hear from the speakers.
Yep, Rebecca, do you have anything to add on education?
It's a tough one. I think, and universities are some of the most difficult organizations to change of all education. In my sense, is of all education organizations. Agree. Maybe that's just because I'm in, I work in some. But universities at their core have a social mission, right? And what I wonder is to what extent that social mission can be reinforced to ensure that everyone within a university context is working towards it, right? So if universities are there to provide education to a new generation of young people and ultimately make the world a better place, how can we then make that explicit at a strategic level and then ensure that leadership is essentially asking everyone who's teaching any course, whether it's accountancy or law or whatever, how is your course contributing to our mission of making the world a better place, right? Are you just teaching accounting, or are you teaching accounting to develop young people to make the world a better place? And think about, what is the social impact or social change flavor that you bring into each of those courses? So that I think about it kind of from a top-down level. The mission is there already. It's just that the different stakeholders in the university might not be fully aligned with that mission. And just to give you one example of how this can be implemented. So at the D School at Stanford, people talk, if you're familiar with a design thinking approach, you've got the 5 hexagons, the empathize, define, so on and so forth. At the D School at Stanford, that's been thrown out, essentially. We're saying, design thinking, the fact that we're talking about it as a process is problematic, because then people just see it as a set of steps to implement, and it's not really what it is. And so the new approach is the 12 design abilities. So essentially there are 12 abilities that the D School has kind of laid out that we want to develop amongst our students. And every single course at the D School needs to explain which of the abilities it is developing, right? And so there is a strategy, and then there is an implementation of that strategy that actually gets everyone aligned around our mission.
Very good.
Yes, and I teach in University of Hong Kong about changes in social innovation education. I was a guest speaker 2 years ago, and I was talking to the department. Yeah, Hong Kong U as a good university should do social innovation, things like that. And then they say, yeah, the top management made a decision that they are trying to hire a social entrepreneur professor to teach social entrepreneurship. And I was like, so excited, yeah, clap hands, cool. And then 6 months later, they said, we found no professor suitable, so we hired you. so my solution for all is as a social entrepreneur, social innovator, talk to the university, which is your alma mater, any university that you had connection, and tell them that you can teach. They will probably hire you.
But I just want to, so this is a really interesting point, right? And I think it applies maybe to this university that this lady is from. Sorry, secondary school. Oh, you're with the secondary school? I'm sorry, I misinterpreted. You teach accounting in secondary school?
Welcome to Hong Kong. Welcome to Hong Kong.
Incredible.
Business operations.
But I think one of the big risks is that we say, oh, teaching social, teaching ethics or teaching social innovation, that's that person's job. And the rest of us are going to go back and teach accounting and all of those things. That should not be I think that is a problematic approach. And people should not be allowed to get away with saying, we have a social entrepreneurship, social innovation professor, and we're done, right? That should not be allowed, and we should push back against that.
Good.
Well, in fact, I think social innovation should be a cross-disciplinary subject. Well, because in Hong Kong, when universities first started a few years ago, actually we offered ourselves to the university, saying that we can talk about social innovation, we can teach. So then we have started some courses at Hong Kong University, and then Chinese University, Lingnan University, etc. So because nobody could teach that, and we as practitioners, we have lots of information to share. So it's very good. But at the same time, when we went to the universities, they often say that, oh, then this belongs to the social work department. So we talk at social work department, and then some would say, oh, this entrepreneurship, so it's about business. So we talk at the business faculty. But we always tell them that it's cross-disciplinary. We could talk to medical students, we could talk to law students, we could talk to the engineering faculty. It's good that if they come together, then they can co-create solutions and they can bring a lot of new ideas around. But I think that would still take some time because as we all know, the tertiary education sector is very institutionalized with a lot of regulations to follow. But I'm glad to hear that already the admission for universities has been relaxed a little bit in Hong Kong, saying that they would not only look at how much marks the students have gained at the public examination, they would also see how they express themselves during interviews. And I think this is a good start already, so that students could prove themselves to be worth more than the marks. So I think there are a lot of problems that we have to tackle in the education field. So maybe we could talk about it later on with anybody who would like to stay behind. Yeah. So any more questions from the floor?
Because time is running short, but we will have the next slide.
Okay. Yes, sir.
Yes. Winnie, can you help me click one? Yes. That would be one advice from you. Yes, your one advice on starting a social innovation. Maybe just one sentence, just to summarize this phrase, and then we go to the scaling. Yeah. Everyone had to offer one advice.
For everyone.
Everyone.
Okay.
We'll be here and then like this.
Every good decision I have made in adrenaline has come either during a long bath, a long drive, or after a long night's sleep. Right? So genuinely, right, take time to think. Right? Take time to bathe. That's the best time. Good ideas. Long drives, good ideas. Really, take time to rest. If not, if you're always on the move, you won't make good decisions.
So I would say make sure you're actually ready to do it, because I think, well, a lot of people mentioned too, people go into businesses and they think that they're ready, but they're not quite ready yet. And I know, especially with younger people, they tend to be rushed to get to that, CEO level. It's okay to work in an industry, gain some experience, and then get ready to start your own thing.
Make sure ready.
Yeah.
I was actually kind of going to say the opposite of these two. It's just like, don't think too much and just do it. We obviously, there's many different approaches, but I say a lot of people tend to think too much about it and never get to doing something. So it's important to think, but it's also important just to do it. And also, you're never going to be completely ready. So be prepared to be unprepared. Do it. Make sure you're not going to put yourself in a really difficult financial situation, or, if you really are set on becoming CEO of a company, think about how you're going to do that. But at the same time, I think, be prepared to be unprepared and uncomfortable.
So cool discussion that we have an Oriental gentleman and a Western face here talking about two things, and then a mix between East and West female offer a complete opposite advice. Very good.
I think that a lot of people who work on social change push themselves very hard. And kind of tying into Rick's question is we need to take the time to think about whether what we're doing is working and experiment with ways of getting it to work, right? Sometimes it's not about pushing harder. Sometimes it's about really thinking, am I taking the right approach? And reflecting on that and then running experiments to figure out what works and what doesn't.
One sentence. Find your colleagues most better than you. Yes, because usually we tend to find someone who can lead or who can teach, or especially this kind of young people and who is a junior or something. But if you want to be a successful team, you have to find better than you in exactly sector, because if you have someone who has some edge of the marketing or HR or finance, or even though he can be just action, and he will be help you to find something solution for you solving your problem. So find your colleagues better than you.
So it's pushing hard to do experiment and find people better than you. What if you think you are the best? No, but I'm joking. Next one.
Since this is advice for starters, I think the same question, the same answer. Don't think too much. Don't think too big. Find a small problem. Focus on the solution. Persist it, and make it sustainable until you really solve this problem. And then think about scale up. Thank you.
I would say, be ready to be broke. But while you're broke, still give your time for free to the people around you who believe the same cause. That will form the community, and they will give you back 10 times. You got it?
Yes.
Okay, very important. Be ready to be broke, but still give time. Help, and to the people who really believe in the same cause, they will become your community, and that will help you get money, scale, have the people who are going to work with you, etc.
Cool.
我更想讲的，因为我是研究微生物这个细菌之间的相互交流的，就我觉得这是个非常有意思我们可以学的地方。细菌都是单细胞的，它是怎么交流呢？就是它在群体很多的时候，它发射一个信号让对方收到，然后呢，它就把这个个体行为突然转变成了群体行为。这是个非常非常有意思的点，就是其实我们做所有的社会企业都面临一个共同的问题，就是我们需要调动很多很多的人。那这个时候呢，其实群体行为有时候表现的是很好的，但是个体行为就千差万别。所以我们必须试着找到我们跟对方那个 signal molecule， 然后怎么去调动它的群体行为，大家一起去做事情。谢谢。
Rebecca, you're also a social entrepreneur. You can summarize and give your one advice as well.
Well, I always say social innovation at the very first beginning is in a state of confusion. Often we may have big vision, but often we don't know which path to take, what kind of business model we are having, and not to even talk about business model. No, how could we do that? How could we achieve that noble goal? So I think the most important is you have to every day ask yourself, am I doing the correct thing? And don't do it alone, because there is an African proverb that says, if you want to go far, you must go together. Unless you want to go quickly, then you go alone. 非洲有一句言語就係話，如果你想行得快咧，就一個人行；你想行得耐咧，你一定要有人同你同行。So I think having a team and having a group of supporters, whether it's your family, whether it's your friends, whether it's your partners, to be around you, to encourage you, to cheer you up, or to help you in difficult times is very important.
Great. Now we move to the third stage of scaling. So if you're a social enterprise, your innovation that is scaled, and you have some story you want to share with some of us that we really want to learn from you, what would be your experience? Share with us the scaling story of your social innovation.
Maybe not all are successful. So we'd like also to hear about the failures as well.
Yeah.
But because failure to us is not failure. It's just a process for you to continue.
Yeah. How did you go big and go abroad?
谢谢。刚才其实几个嘉宾，几个观众提到了几个问题，就是我觉得我也非常关心。就我想讲一下我们其实面临的这个过程当中的问题，就是农村污水，就是大家可能不是很熟悉。对于中国的农村污水，首先它有几个环节，一个是它的受益者是农户，然后呢，它的组织者是政府，它的实施者是设计院和设备供应商。这里边有很多角色，其实每一个人的利益并不一致。就是农户呢，很多时候他甚至他是受益者，但是他还不理解，就他不知道我为什么要做这个污水处理。这很多时候我们在做的过程当中，我就想起来跟我教我孩子做作业一样，他不想做，他对他好，但是他不想做。另外一个呢，对于政府来讲，政府重视这个问题，但是一旦具体到某一个政府的人，政府的官员，他真正关心的不一定是完全跟这个结果相照应的，所以我们怎么去平衡这个东西非常重要。我们是怎么做呢？首先我们要找到一个解决方案。那解决方案呢，对于一个区域来讲，一个县政府来讲，他要做的其实是我怎么把这个地方发展好，我怎么做好，或者是说政绩。那你怎么用这个东西给它创造政绩，这是一个非常重要的方式。比如说，对于供应商、对于设备商来讲，你怎么让这个设备商挣到钱，这是非常重要。但是我们还是回到那个，所有的社会企业最大的优势就是它有规模，就包括这个贫困地区，因为它的规模是非常大的。那你怎么把这个规模转换成经济效益，这是我们所要关注的核心。就是我们对一个县里来讲，你只是你做完你这个地方完成了你的任务，好，他感兴趣，但是还不是足够的感兴趣。怎么就足够感兴趣呢？他把他整个地方做成一个新的模式，然后他可以得到很多很多这个，然后他可以把这个模式传播到别的地方去。在这个同时呢，他地方的这个本来这个不是很好的，就非常普通的加工企业，能够通过技术更新来生产这一个新的产品，能够卖到它的周边，因为它可以非常清晰的去衡量这个市场，这个市场是非常大的，然后他就感兴趣了。所以就是要抓住你的合作伙伴感兴趣的点，用他自己能够理解的语言，用他能够感兴趣的这个利益点。然后这样你才能调动足够多的人，就像这个我经常读毛泽东主席的书，叫《打土豪分田地》，因为他面临的那个时候很多人连字都不识，怎么样让他们一起去做一件伟大的事情？那就是他懂得什么？打了土豪，我有田地分，这是非常重要的。
所以。So I saw a couple three things that from you. You're saying very clear solutions. 解决方案有非常明确的解决方案。 and the scale， 一个规模，一个model。还有第三个是make sure every party wins。The political wins and the supplier wins, the community wins. That's the secret of your scaling. Great. What about any others for your scaling story? Yeah, John?
Make money. No, seriously, like so many NGOs, and I was one of them. When I started my makerspace, I just thought, okay, we're gonna do something cool, and we're gonna get government subvention, and we got government subvention, but then it ran out really quickly, right? So, and this is where I believe the best social enterprises are actually real businesses that by their values and how they actually execute on the how, just as you mentioned for the event, how you execute it, actually benefits the society, right? Have a better carbon footprint, etc. If you look at Grab, the success of Grab, I tell you, is I met the head of PR of Grab at the early beginning, maybe like the 3rd month after they raised their Series A. And she told me, oh, we are a social enterprise. I was like, oh, really cool. And then the whole market in Thailand thought they were a social enterprise. And because they were a social enterprise, with this positioning, it was much easier for them to actually attract drivers because they were thinking, oh, this is an NGO who's going to give me a job, right? They didn't say, we are Uber, we're going to automate your vehicle to become an automated AI driver, right? They didn't say that. Right?
To give the audience a bit perspective background, Grab is the version of Uber in Thailand.
Right? In South Asia, yeah.
Yeah, Southeast Asia.
That's like the biggest unicorn in South Asia right now. So, so it's a multi-billion-dollar company, right? But really, because of this angle, they became big, right? But I think on the other way, NGOs, if they try to think as a startup, making a scalable revenue model, while having how values that are, aligned with their social goals, I think that could be working much better. And for us at GetLinks, we actually didn't knew we were a social enterprise until we got invited to this conference. No, I'm kidding. We really are acting as a business, but because I have failed my first NGO, then I knew that my second company, which will be a business, will have those core values of social organization, which for us is equal access to education and employability, right, to unprivileged people, right? So I think it's really about how you do it, and if you think of making money as an NGO, you'll be very successful, and that's how then you have money to expand different markets, right? That's it.
So your success or the story about scaling is to do business operation. Cool. Any more? Yeah.
Yeah, I find that money is absolutely critical. It's oxygen to scaling. But the other very critical thing that helped us sort of survive 11 years and build from basically 1 person to 40 people is people, right? To add on to Mr. Loy's point, a lot of the conversation in our space is be a social entrepreneur. But it is impossible for all of us in this room to all go and start social enterprises, right? Because then there will be no one to work in social enterprises and scale social enterprises, right? It is super important that social enterprises have a solid management team, a solid operations team, a second layer of people, and that's gonna come from you, right? And there is a lot of glory and a lot of good that can come from building a career in a social enterprise as well. So I think that conversation needs to shift a little bit. Every summit, every event, every diploma, every degree is a social entrepreneurship degree, right? When it should be an opportunity to work in a social enterprise as well, right? I would strongly urge everyone here, if you're thinking of starting a social enterprise, think of working in a social enterprise first, right? That, I think, is part of that scaling story.
Cool. And Dignity Kitchen is hiring people.
Yeah.
So, yeah. Any more scaling story? Yeah, 2 of you.
So when John is said making money, the last 10 years I feel a lot of challenges. People keep asking me, you are working for BOP, how you can earn money? So that is the question coming to me. So I fully agree with all of your points. Has to be find a very bigger majority sufferings, and then you have to find solutions. So sustainability means you have to earn the money and you have to generate your own blood to keep you going next 10 years or next 10 years. So since I'm from the product perspective, so when we are working with the experience in BOP, I think when we're making scaling up, the most successful experiences, we're trying to find the same common problems during we talking to the users from different countries. And then we try to standardize the product. So we try to make a standard products and then we make it in the scale. In this case, we can make the cost is really low and affordable. For example, for the candle scaler, you cannot only say it's only for Indian or it's only for Africa. It's for all the countries or even for all the people, even the Europeans. Maybe they go to the picnic, they don't have any resources for electricity. So that is our successful experience for scale up to try to make a standard solutions for most majorities suffering the same problem, make it a scale up and more cheaper, more affordable, more environmentally friendly. Thank you.
Yes, before I telling you, I feel really sorry because I have tons of story I have, but I cannot speak Chinese well, so I cannot express it fully. So sorry about that, and 没关系. And yeah, anyway, I failed a lot. First of my companies since 2015 to 2017, we failed all of things. So because one of my failure stories about we making a flower delivery company in Korea, hiring special people for that, but we failed. Why? Because it's so many costs in there, and then we couldn't recover it. But we just have some good reason why we should do it. I should do it anyway. So and after that we failed 3 times more, and we maybe at the time we thought that we're gonna die. I mean, from here and this sector, so we have to find the other job. But finally we tried it one more time, and at that time we thought that we have to find customer first, not just for the good reason. So and then we tried to build a education company and for searching the market, because in Korea there's a education market, especially about the social sector, is rising up and so on. So and we found some trigger point in there, and then we tried to build a education company right now. And now, after that, we found 5 companies more, and then 1 sold to a big company, and we had 4 companies right now. And we are doubled every year, yes. I think the reason why I having this kind of growth is about, and he said people also, and then we just thinking about how we can match the need from the customer and the social needs too. And then we want to make some kind of CSV model in our businesses. For example, we are hiring special people also. We are a customer who is a beneficiary too. And also we are a target to the just normal customers who want to having some good product and service too. And we're using the SNS marketing and then some kind of coolest marketing strategy or something. And also we have some unique model is about building a block, because every year we make a new social venture by ourselves. So we build a social ventures sales income, and that's like a block, a Lego something. So since 2015, the Underdogs was founded, and now Underdogs is about $5 million US. But Just Live is a kind of housing company for solving the housing problem in Seoul City. That was just founded last year. That is about maybe $1 million US something. But we want to we want to make some kind of blog, and we want to find some motivation, or we want to find some trigger point and power of scaling in our, group of our social venture. Yes.
Well, one thing I hear very clearly is sometimes we need to pivot, because we may have a good vision, we may have a strong will to do something, but when something didn't turn out to be workable, or when you have too much difficulty in reaching a certain goal, then we have to think of other ways out. For example, instead of selling flowers, you set up an education team. So don't think that social innovation is a strict road. You need to divert at times, according to the environment, according to the team's ability, and also social problems are evolving all the time. We would like to do something, for example, for the poor people, but then their social environment, their economic environment could be changed over time. So we need to pivot as well. So thank you for this takeaway. Yeah.
Yes, and almost coming to the last questions is very crucial, this one. We are in an Asia network here, and sitting people from all different countries, very successful young social entrepreneurs. How Hong Kong and this network can do for you, can do for your social enterprise, social innovation? This is a $2 million question. Yeah, anyone?
I think just from personal experience, case studies and success stories and also failure stories are so important. And I think we really don't have, events like this are great for the people in the room who can come and learn, but Social Innovation Japan, we try and put more of those stories out there so people can be inspired or they can learn. And so I think being able to share those across borders more is really critical in terms of both us learning, but also the people around us and people in my network who I hope that we're encouraging to start their own initiatives. They need often inspiration and ideas. And so if we can get more of those across borders, I think we'd all benefit. Thank you.
So I've been meeting a lot of kids. When I say kids, it's people like me. I consider myself as a kid still, right? I'm below 30, right? So Forbes 30. I think Hong Kong people are very lucky. All of them are very well educated, and you guys are very smart. So I think one big thing is about scaling as well. Is as soon as you can, extend your network and your community outside of Hong Kong, and go to South Asia, go to Indonesia, go to Vietnam, because your knowledge will really have an incremental impact compared to the population. It's very simple, right? When you talk about the bottom of pyramid, there is 7 billion people on Earth, 3.5 billion are in emerging markets. Right, so if you want to really make an impact, it's probably going to be outside of Hong Kong, right? But because you have this really super high education, and because you have this really wealthy network in Hong Kong, you can really make an impact outside and build a regional or global organization, right? So for us, we expanded right after a seed. I think we had $100,000. We already think to go to Vietnam, right? And that was really stupid, but because we did that, then people thought, oh, Getlings is a regional organization, right? And then people start to come to us and they want to work with us, and then the community gets bigger, right? So it's really crucial that if you have something that's working in the country a little bit, you try to go abroad very, very quickly. And if you have something working in Hong Kong, you try to go to Indonesia or Vietnam or maybe Africa as quickly as you can. Because look at the impact she made, right? And this is really incredible, and this is only because she has this knowledge that when she brings that into Africa or into South Asia, there's no one else who can do it. And then she becomes the only one who has this knowledge and power, right? So you want to be putting yourself in this position. Extend your network outside of your city as soon as you can. That's my advice.
There is no better way than being a customer. No, honestly, there is no better way than being a customer. All right, so whether it Keep Moving, whether it's Dignity Kitchen, if you're coming to Singapore, Adrenaline, be a customer, support social enterprises. That will give them the encouragement and the resources to keep growing. And I think that's how the network can support each other.
Thank you for this question, because this question is for how to help me, right? So I'm more practical. I think being a social entrepreneur for last 10 years, I need more connections, more networks. Hong Kong can help me to promote more, to let people know there is a Chinese enterprise who is really helping the BOP, but we are still not satisfied with our achievement. Even our annual turnover is already about 10 million, but still, like he said, still have about 840 million people nowadays no power at all. So we can only cover every year only 1 million family only, or maybe only 100,000 families only. So we still need a lot of help to scale up, to make us more outstanding, to make sure people know there is a solution for BOP in commercial way. It's not in really donation way. So this is one help we need. And the second help is more purchasing. If you really have some social activities or CSR project to help the people in Asia or in Indonesia or even in Africa, we have more solutions beyond lighting. We also enter into the solar media, solar teacher, which we want to build access for the last mile people who has no power, no access for any information, any education. We already make our devices is ready here, but we are really looking for the partners who can provide the content for free. Is really helping for the people who is stay at home or no good teacher, no knowledge access. We need the contents for free. And also a lot of NGOs for your purchasing, you can work with us. Like UNICEF or WHO, they made a lot of contents for how to prevent Ebola, HIV, malaria. But the challenge is they have no channel to play their contents to the people who is really in need. We already have all the solutions, but we need a partnership. We need more people for purchasing. Like people, like Dr. Wang said, they don't think they need education. They don't know they affected the disease and they are dying is because they don't know how to prevent the problems. We have all the solutions, but we need partnership. We need more purchasing to keep us sustainable for next 10 years. Thank you.
Cool. So right now, questions about scaling or sustaining a social innovation from the floor. 1 or 2 questions. Yes.
Thank you for a really amazing mix of people from Asia and your sharing. And I think a lot of the startups, they're scaling strategies maybe based on tech. So I see a lot of fintech or edutech or apps and networks scaling up a lot. But are there ways, I think a lot of social innovation is based on human and human-centric and also labor-intensive, right? So what are some scaling strategies that these companies can have, such as if they're selling an experiential workshop, if they're a design thinking consultancy, so how can people scale, and should they look for the traditional VC trend, or what kind of return are investors looking for? Is that the route they should go? And what should the scaling strategy be?
That's a really great question. And what I want to preface that with is that in many cases, the idea that technology helps us scale is false, I think. So UNICEF, for example, just did a global review on all of the work that has been done in education innovation. And what they found was that pure edutech companies failed to scale. So they had technologies that were theoretically very scalable, but actually they weren't scaling impact, right? And the ability to create actually a genuine and real impact very rarely happens purely through technology. And so there are a lot of different strategies for scale. So just to give you an example, so David Kelly, who's one of the founding fathers of design thinking, was at IDEO. He got throat cancer, and he decided, he essentially decided, I'm going to make a change in kind of my direction in life. I really want to spread design thinking as an approach to addressing challenges. And so he went out and he co-founded the D School at Stanford. And the D School has published tons of materials, and now design thinking has become this global movement, right? And so yes, it is a highly experiential thing. It's a it's a methodology, it's a workshop, and so on and so forth. But he has scaled by building a movement. So that's one approach, I think. Another approach that we understand very poorly, but I think we need to come to handle with, is systemic change. The idea of how do we do a coordinated change in the way that government and funding organizations and implementing organizations do things? And so I think a great example of that is the collective impact approaches, right? So in Cincinnati, maybe about 10 years ago, the quality of education there hit rock bottom. The government had cut budgets. There are tons of youth that were dropping out of schools and universities. And the head of the University of Cincinnati brought all of the different stakeholders in the education space together and said, you know what? It's great that you're working on 4th grade reading levels. It's great that you're working on ensuring that kids get food in schools. But if we could have a great after-school teaching program, but if kids are going to it hungry, that's, what's the point, right? We can have a great employment placement program, but if teenagers are getting pregnant before they get placed into jobs, what's the point? And so you have all of these different stakeholders whose interventions don't overlap. And so collective impact then became an approach to create impact at scale by bringing all of these different stakeholders together, looking at a quarterly report card and saying, are we moving the needle at the community level in terms of some of the key statistics that we want to change, and how do we collaborate and work together to kind of fill those gaps, right? Because if you need to train 200,000 people, you can pat yourself on the back and say, great, I trained 200 people this year, but actually, at the community level, we need a much bigger change. And so that, I think, starts the process of change, but it's not scaling an organization, right? It's scaling change, and there are these different strategies to doing it. So I think of it in kind of those two senses, as can you build movements, and can you create systemic change in the way that different stakeholders interact with each other to create change at scale.
I think Kyle tried his best to shorten a 3 hours collective impact lecture from Stanford to a 3-minute answer already. So look for the collective impact on a systemic level. The last question from this gentleman.
Yeah, thanks for your sharing. And I suppose you guys have already experienced some failure, success, and now you have already built up a mature operation. I wonder if any one of you have considered, given the technology development, or you can comment on the franchising model in order to scale up your business. Thank you.
Anyone had thought of franchise model scale up?
好，谢谢你的问题。我特别想谈一点，就是技术在这个过程当中发挥的作用。其实刚才这位同学的问题也考虑到这个问题，就是你组一个团队，因为我相对自己比较幸运，因为我本身从高中一直是学理工科的，但是我对社会科学非常感兴趣。然后呢，我做的研究呢又是我们叫微生物社会学，其实叫群体社会学，其实它是技术跟社会学的结合。但是呢，解决任何一个问题都是离不开社会学的，它最终是根本。所以如果你没有技术背景，一定找一个有技术背景的人合作。但是这个技术背景不一定是说他一定要这个东西全世界只有他一个人能做，不是这样的，是你首先有一个共同的目标，然后呢一定要通过技术的创新才能更好的完成这个目标。比如说成本太高你可以通过技术的手段去削减。比如说这个产品没有很好的去适应这个客户的需求， 那你可以通过技术的产品技术的改进去改进它，这都是非常重要的手段。另外呢，还有一个非常重要的，就是在技术界有一个想法，我觉得是不是特别好？就比如说，在我们这个环境领域，我们最开始做这些事情的时候，所有的人都认为这没有技术问题，就是把一个污水、生活污水处理成干净的水，在实验室里边是没有任何技术问题的。但是如果你是在做科学，这没有问题，科学不需要有用。但是技术一定要有用，就是你要能够解决实际问题，你最终你的产品也好，你的方案也好，到现场能够被用起来，能够解决产生实际的效能，这才算你的技术完成了，而不是说我在某种特定的条件下把这个目标完成了，那是这个实验室的做法。所以其实这里边呢有很多，一个是不单单是一种技术，还有各种技术，包括跟社会科学的想法，用一个共同目标去整合起来。另外，这个技术的目标也不能仅仅限于一个人的某个领域，一定要有一个开放的心态，就是我完成一个产品，不是说这个产品的每一个部件都是我做的。这个技术人员非常容易去陷入这种场景，就这个东西不是我做的，好像不是很合适啊。
那王博士有没有想过要做 franchise？franchise 中文是什么 ？Rebecca。Sorry。特约经营，
特约经营，
加盟经营，就我们买你的那个牌照，然后在香港做也好，在孟加拉做也好，什么东西的？
这个完全可以，因为我们其实跟很多合作的地方，其实都是采用这种方式去合作的。因为包括刚才说，就是这个平台能够做什么，其实第一个已经帮到我们，让我们知道。这个之前我是不知道社会企业，也不知道这么多人在做社会企业，其实只是做一个单纯的企业。
很好。
但是香港是一个非常好的地方。
OK， 所以你是有想过做 franchise？
谢谢。
Any others? Any franchise? Social innovation Hong Kong or social innovation KL? Pandemic Hong Kong? Underdog?
I will try to go quickly, but I think one point that answers both your question and his question is branded social movements. Right? If you look at Greta Thunberg, right, she has franchised her small street revolution for climate in more than 170 countries within 6 months. So there's a brand, her face, and there's a social movement, as you mentioned. I think this is very important, right? So I think this is just that branded social movements.
Yeah, and we're kind of running an experiment on that right now. So we launched from within Social Innovation Japan a refill app called My Mizu. And essentially that's kind of coming back to your point earlier about how do you engage young people. To your point, John, it was like we have to make it cool, we have to make it fun, we have to make it appealing. And so we've tried to do that through enabling technology. It's not all about the app, it's a wider movement. And we're actually speaking with towns across Japan. We actually have a Singapore team now who are basically taking this very simple solution that we have, which is to connect users to places that they can refill a bottle for free. And to take that all across Japan and to different countries as well. And I think because it's such a simple solution, it's quite easy to take it somewhere. But the branding is so important, like making sure that the mission is very clear. And like honestly, we're really just getting started on this. We launched it in September, so I don't know if it's going to work properly or not. But my hope is that we can take that model to take it and to really scale it across both the country and Asia as well.
So one day will be social innovation world.
Yes. Exactly.
Yeah, I believe that we are having some same needs in the social sector. So I'll say I think that we need to having some network more strongly, not just having some case study together. Or yes, this is really a great step, a first step. But I want to make some joint venture or just do some investment or licensing or something, or having some franchise network something too. So we are really open to sharing our knowledge and cases and experience to the other country. So that's why I came here. Actually, we are seeking some partner for expanding our knowledge in Hong Kong and running our global program in here too. So yes, if someone, anybody need to have some partner in Korea, please let me know and I will keep in touch with you guys.
Cool. Any more franchise idea? Would you franchise your company?
Can I have a follow-up question on scaling?
Scaling.
I guess from scaling impact to then, coming from an impact investor perspective, then you also need to have the revenue projection or how your business is also scaling, right? I think to Cal's point, I think the movement and the branding and the collective impact is a great way to scale impact. And then I guess on the other hand, from an entrepreneur perspective and impact investor perspective, how do you also project your financial or your business scale?
Cool. So
On
now
a human-centric.
last couple of things that we need to do. Number one, we are running out of time. Thank you very much for all the speakers. Can we give them all the big round of applause? Second, I have my last question to you is what is your biggest inspiration that you get from this morning? And the follow-up one is how are you going to act on the inspiration that you got? That is a takeaway question for you to bring home for a happy holiday tomorrow. And the third thing is about the feedback form. Yeah, so you need to fill it out. If you need some pens, let us know. And then we'll prepare some souvenir very nicely from Rebecca from the Social Enterprise Summit.
So just a very, very small conclusion, because 2 years ago, we started the conversation with the Greater Bay Area. So we have social entrepreneurs and networks coming over to Hong Kong. And at the end of the section, all of us are so passionate that we said, don't let this end here. So we formed a network called the Greater Bay Area Network. So between the 11 cities, Hong Kong and 11 cities in the Greater Bay Area in China, we have closer relationship. We work with each other. Sometimes we travel to Shenzhen or Guangzhou, and when they come over to Hong Kong, they will let us know what they like to do. So we set up meetings with them, etc. So already, because Li Xia and Dr. Wang, they are from this network. But then, we just say that don't let this end here. We could do something more together, because the main purpose of having this roundtable discussion is to bring more people, to widen our perspective. We don't look just in Hong Kong. We don't just look at Singapore. We don't just look at Thailand. Think of Asia as your area, as your market. And also, how could we share our resources together? Could we collaborate with each other? For example, Chris may have a new idea for health education. Could we do this, of course, in Hong Kong, but how about in other countries, in other cities, in the Bay Area, even in South Korea? Could we make use of our resources, our network together, and then we collaborate and help each other to scale up or support each other in many other ways? So I would suggest, shall we form a network, an alliance, or whatever name, think of some cool names, right? A network for this roundtable discussion to continue. Do you want it? Yeah, very good. So think of any cool ways and cool names and then come back to us. All right, thank you so much. So we have a very small souvenir for you, designed and made in Hong Kong. So I hope you like it and then take back home many other inspirations that we have today. So shall we take a group photo together? Yeah.